Show the time at 10 o'clock sharp, so we'll start this meeting. This is the Weber County Commission meeting, the 10th day of December 2019. We welcome you here. I'm Commissioner Scott Jenkins. To my right is Commissioner Jim Harvey, and to my left is Commissioner Gage Frohr. We welcome you here today. Pardon me? I know. So we want to start this meeting today with the invocation by Lynn Taylor. Okay. And Pledge of Allegiance by Christy Bingham. And Thought of the Day by Commissioner Gage Frohr. So, Mr. Taylor, go ahead.
Father, we're grateful for this wonderful land in which we live, and we're thankful for the leaders that we have and for the people that we serve. And we ask that as we meet today that we will be guided and be blessed with wisdom, that we may make decisions that will bless the citizens of this land, and that we will help to secure prosperity for those that we will hand this over to in the future. And this we ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Frohr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My thought of the day is a thought about leadership and how important that is to this county and our country and our state and our families. And I've had the opportunity, along with Commissioner Harvey, to attend some training this past week that I thought was very beneficial to us, but it was also very beneficial to some very great leaders here that we depend on in Weber County. And they happen to be with us here this morning. And I'm going to ask them to please come forward, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please.
So if we could have Sean, Bryce, Bill, and Joe come up here up front. Mr. Chair, I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for these gentlemen for the effort, the training that they went through this past week. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I can say this, and I think Commissioner Harvey can echo in on this as well if he wish. It's some of the hardest training that a person can do. I've been there, done it. It's not easy. It's not easy to go through the leadership, the personal introspection that these gentlemen did. But I can tell you this for a fact, that Weber County, the residents in this state, in this county, will be better served by these gentlemen for what they have done and the steps they've taken this past week to improve their leadership skills. We talk about team building. These gentlemen now know how to lead a team. They understand integrity, which we all, if we don't have integrity, we don't have anything. And I think that that goes to show what they've done, what they've trained. And I can tell you, I was proud to be a part of this group this last week in Alamo, Nevada. And I congratulate you guys for what I call getting out on the skinny branches, because we know that this wasn't easy. But I can tell you this, that what you bring home to your families, to your team, to this county and state are critical to the future of what we really strive for in this country. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And I'd pass some time on to Commissioner Harvey, because I know that he's probably got a comment as well.
Commissioner Harvey, go ahead.
Before going to this training, either for an individual or as individuals contributing to a team, we asked you to trust the process. Your graduation from that particular training shows that you did. More importantly, as we we will be greatly enriched here at the county. I'm hoping especially you'll be even more enriched at home, where it matters most. I'm personally very proud, not just of you, but to be associated with you. It's an honor to be associated with you and to be with you. Commissioner Frohr, we had a very positive and great team-building experience that I'll treasure for the rest of my life, and thank you for being a part of it. Commissioner Frohr, Mr. Chair, I think it'd be appropriate if we gave these graduates a round of applause.
I would agree with that.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your
Thank you very
service.
much.
Thank you, Commissioner Frohr. We appreciate your service to the county. Next up is item E, public comments. We reserve time at the beginning of our meetings for people to stand and comment if they'd care to. So now would be that time. We see several in the audience. I don't know why you're here, but you're welcome to approach us if you'd care to at this time. All right, we don't see anybody taking that, so we'll go ahead to item F, which is the consent items. I brought my reading glasses today. Last week I had to borrow Ricky Hatch's. All right, the items F. First item is request for approval of warrants 2242 through 2256 and 445, 483 through 445652 in the amount of $679,627. Item 2 is request for approval of purchase orders for 2019 in the amount of $81,458 and for $69,985. We had two this past, we skipped 1 week. Item 3 is request for approvals of minutes of November 26th and December 3rd. Item 4 is approval of the ACH payment to U.S. Bank in the amount of $174,297. They tell me now that they have my credit card fixed. Where's Jason? I see him. There he is. But I don't dare use it because I'm not sure. Anyway, item 5 is request for approval to cancel regular commission meetings scheduled for December 24th and December 31st. That's because of the holidays that they're adjacent to them. Item 6 is request for repeal of Weber County Policy 24 on indigent death, as the process is now governed by ordinance. And item 7 is request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Union Station for the use of Union Station as a vote center with fees for that facility waived. Is there any questions on the consent items? I think we've all been versed on them, and I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve consent items 1 through and including item 7.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent items 1 through 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They're approved.
Do you want to go to...
Oh, Lynn Taylor. Gee, I blew right past you. Well, we've approved them. Why don't you go ahead and give us the breakdown on the warrants and the purchase orders. I'm sorry, Lynn. I do that about every other time. So it's not that I'm out to get you.
All right.
Go ahead.
For 2019, we have 12 purchase orders. The largest of those, 63% or $51,400, went to property management for a snowplow, and 7% or $13,500 IT for wireless hardware and computers. Getting a head start on 2020, the one purchase order for $70,000 for IT's annual support contract with Oracle. 185 checks, largest of these, 50% or $337,000, went to the library for a combination of books and materials and construction of the Ogden Valley branch. 9% or $58,000 for 12th Street construction, paid for by WACOG funds. 8% or $53% community development, government affairs and public relations. And 8% or $53,000 to the jail for food, building maintenance, and inmate stipends.
Any questions, commissioners? No. Very good. Thanks, Lynn. Appreciate that. Sorry. Apologize once more. Okay, we'll go to the action items. G, item number 1, request for approval of a final reading of an ordinance of the County of Weber County creating a special revenue fund for county flood control projects and droughts. I got a call the other day from our reporter.
Tim Vandernack.
Tim Vandernack wanting to know a little bit about this, so I explained it to him. So Sean, would you go ahead and make a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. As you've just read, Commissioner Jenkins, this ordinance establishes a special revenue fund for countywide flood control projects and drought emergencies, which means any money that goes into that fund is strictly used for those types of projects, and it cannot be used anywhere else. That's really what this ordinance does. The first reading was on last week, and this is just the final reading. So we have followed the ordinance process, and we're asking for your approval today.
Thank you. So I told Tim in my report to him that this allowed us to keep separate control of it, to realize now specifically if it needed to go up or down or where it was at. And I said it was just housekeeping, making good budgets, no more than that.
Like it?
Either of you wish to comment?
You ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve Ordinance 24, creating a special revenue fund flood control.
Very good.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for Ordinance 24. All in favor, say aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Faur?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. Thanks, Fatima.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, G2 is a request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Young Automotive Group for commercial and fleet sales. Bill Ross.
Well, a couple months ago, we got getting ready for our purchasing as we're looking at different vehicles that need to be purchased this next up and coming year. And so we worked with our purchasing department and followed the process there and put out an RFP. And we received numerous bids back on that proposal in accordance to the laws in regards to that. And so Young Automotive Group was awarded that contract according to our evaluation committee that was involved in that. And so this is just a contract making that official that we can continue to work. And may I point out, this is just for Ford products, Ford vehicles. And so as the county has needs with other different brands or styles of vehicles, we'll do the same process with those as the prices make us do that. So, do you have any questions?
Questions, Commissioners? We should be mentioned that we had a question on this, if it was done right, and what the results of this would be, and the fact that our Weber County folks decided not to bid it, and if we felt it was inappropriately done. And after going through it, we felt like we'd crossed the T's and dotted the I's on this, that everything was done appropriate.
It was.
So we could see nothing done wrong. So as a result, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like you, Chair, I had some concerns after hearing from an individual that has a dealership here in town that it may not have been entirely proper, but after reviewing what took place and looking at the RFP, I support it.
I like the exact same comments, Commissioner Faur, on this. We've even made some telephone calls, and I'm comfortable with the process by which our team has gone through. And with that, Mr. Chair, if you're ready for a motion.
I am.
I'll make the motion that we approve the contract by and between Weber County and Young Automotive Group for fleet sales.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
It's approved. Thanks, Bill. Item 3 is an update on policy 8-1, internal audit policy and procedures. Christopher Crockett. Mr. Crockett.
Thank you, Commissioners. The Audit Committee was established in 2015 and is charged with looking at all county departments to make sure that we are operating in accordance with state statute and as efficiently as possible. The Audit Committee has requested, made a recommendation that one modification to the policy governing the Audit Committee be made, and that is to section 8.1.4.7 regarding the final audit report, which is that after the audit committee approves the report, we believe that it would be good for a report to be forwarded to the county commission and a verbal report provided during one of your regularly scheduled work sessions, just to ensure that you are aware of everything that is going on in the county and that you can take action as needed. So that is the only change to the policy, and we recommend submit it for approval.
That's great. Any comments?
I do.
Yes, Commissioner, go ahead.
It was about 2.5 years ago that the internal auditor was reporting to the Weber County Commission. This was not in best practice. And so we made a decision to move that function under where it would make better sense, and that's under our clerk auditor. That's the job they do. That's not the job that we as the executive branch do for the commission. He was no longer housed in our office, but was moved over and housed at the clerk auditor, where I think things are functioning more efficiently. And I love the fact that there's additional transparency now here, especially giving a report to the public. We don't hide behind anything, do we, Mr. Chair?
We don't.
And so I think this is great, and I'm totally in favor of it.
Good. Okay.
I'm good with it.
Very good. Then to that point, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we approve the policy for .8.1 for internal audit for all policies.
Motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. It's approved. It's okay. Item 4, request for approval of an ordinance of Weber County authorizing Weber County residents to utilize the urban farming provisions of the Utah Code, annotated Part 59-2-17. Mr. John Uleberry.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we're here requesting an approval of the first reading of the urban farming ordinance to go forward for a final reading at a future date. So urban farming allows the owner of their land to agriculturally use their property in a manner similar to Greenbelt. Urban farming is similar to Greenbelt as they both defer property tax on agriculturally producing properties. They both require an application. They both require a 2-year production history in order to qualify, and they both have up to a 5-year rollback. The difference is the state code requires a county ordinance that allows for urban farming. Urban farming will qualify 1 to 5 acres in production, where Greenbelt is typically 5 or more. Greenbelt allows crop or animal production, whereas urban farming only allows marketable crop. And Greenbelt only requires 1 application, where urban farming will require an annual application according to the code. So why do we want urban farming here in Weber County? We have a lot of working farms that use the home site in conjunction with the overall farming operation. Oftentimes these home sites have a different ownership than the farm at large. Also, quite often the homes do not have the required 5 acres of production. So the rub here is state law requires the ownership to match exactly in order for them to be considered one unit. So technically these parcels don't qualify for Greenbelt, even though they are part of the larger farming operation. So what the urban farming ordinance will allow us to do is allow these parcels to continue to qualify for the deferral. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions?
Yeah, a couple of questions, if I might, Mr. Chair. So, as I understand it, this just follows the state statute, which is, what is it? The acreage requirement would be 1.5 or more, 1.5 to 5?
It's 1 to 5 acres in production.
1 to 5, not 1.5.
1 to 5 in production.
And then the deferral, I guess the exemption would be given then on the property, or is it given on property and the home?
Just the property itself.
So just the one. So whatever the assessed value is for that 1 acre would be reduced to Greenbelt status.
Yes.
Is that correct?
The taxable value would change to what mirrors the Greenbelt status.
And then what? Remind me again what the application process requires in terms. Is there a monetary requirement to meet the exemption, or is it a production requirement? What's the requirement?
It's exactly the same as the Greenbelt requirement, and so it's 50% of whatever the land would normally be able to produce. As long as they're producing that minimum 50%, they would still qualify.
Okay, and as you stated in your presentation, it doesn't allow animals.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with this request, Chair. This follows the bill that actually I think we were both there when this went through.
Yeah, we were.
And it dealt with some larger parcels in Salt Lake
Right.
that people wanted to use for agricultural purposes. So I think this is a step in the right direction for Weber County for those people that don't meet the Greenbelt status but still want to produce some type of agricultural product. So
I too.
You okay with that? Does this include alfalfa hay production, stuff like that?
Anything that is considered a marketable crop.
Okay, and when you give them a deferment on their property taxes, then do they have to pay that back?
It's up to 5 years. It's a rollback, just like Greenbelt.
Right.
So if they go 6 years, then the tax is exempt
The first year.
the first year.
And then
the
it's
following 5 years is rollback.
Right. Okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought. That's what my recollection was.
yeah, so it follows the same basic procedures, policies as Greenbelt. We just reduce the acreage, take the animal requirement out.
Yes.
And reduce it to 1 acre.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of what it does. Other than that, it's really the same.
Great.
So
All right.
with that, Mr. Chair, are you ready for a motion?
I am.
So I would move to approve ordinance for the Weber County authorizing Weber County residents to utilize the urban farming provisions of Utah Code Anointed Part 55-2-17.
Second.
That's
Is this the
G6.
first reading?
That's different. Pardon?
This is the first reading, right?
Yes.
So
Okay.
there's no number.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Let's see, did I get a motion?
Yeah, motion is second.
Okay. Very good. It passes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. Okay, item 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Request for approval of ordinance of Weber County, amending the Weber County fee ordinance. Mr. Philip Reese.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time. I need to begin by giving thanks to Weber County Sheriff's Office staff members, particularly those at the Kiesel facility that helped put this ordinance amendment together. There was a lot of thoughtfulness and thoroughness that went into it, and some research that we did with our sister counties to make sure that we were doing an appropriate action item. I also need to give thanks to Scott Park at the Comptroller's office. He was very thorough in his review of the ordinance and gave some constructive feedback on how to make it a better situation. And lastly, Attorney Brian Barron at the County Attorney's Office for drafting the ordinance amendment. I appreciate those things. When I presented this for a first go with Commissioner Frower and then Chair Jenkins asked, why do we charge rent for the inmates that are participating in the work release program? I didn't give you the best answer, I believe, Chair Jenkins, so if I may give you a second round of that answer.
Okay.
Some of this truly is corrections driven for the offenders that we manage. As you all well are aware, housing is a significant struggle in our attempts to reduce recidivism. So if we can create positive habits of them paying their rent, so to speak, of needing to budget the money that they earn, that is a step towards that. And so while this does allow us to generate some revenue, I also believe that it firmly is based in correction, in good correctional practice. So with that information, work release fees were $12.50 a day. They will increase to $20 a day. The day reporting fee was $2.50 a day. It will increase to $3.50 a day. Are there additional questions from you gentlemen that I could answer?
Commissioners, any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner.
No. Great.
No, I'm good with this.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion. Commissioner Harvey?
Commissioner, I move that we approve the ordinance, County Commissioners, amending the Weber County fee ordinance for the sheriff.
Second?
This is the first reading as well.
Right, first reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Okay, item 6, approval of resolution reappointing members of the Golden Spike Event Center Advisory Board. Mr. Duncan Olson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
I am coming before you today to try to get a couple board members back on my board. This is a little bit of outside of our normal. They've served their terms as of right now, but they're really great board members. They're willing to serve. They're willing to be involved. They're also significant members of our community that have a lot of resources and help for the Golden Spike and the fairgrounds. And so I'm asking you to reappoint Craig Smith and Hud Hayes to another term on our Friends of the Fairground board.
Very good. Commissioners, questions, comments? Commissioner Harvey?
Two fantastic members, not just on our board, but they're great assets.
Absolutely.
And contributors to our community. We're lucky that they'll serve on our board here. So I'm very much in favor of both of these reappointments.
Why don't you start that with a motion then?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. I'll make that motion, which is a resolution number 63, that we reappoint Mr. Craig Smith and Hud Hayes to the Golden Spike Event Center Advisory Board.
So I'll second that.
Very good. Motion and a second. Fatima?
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye?
Commissioner Faur?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. Good. G6 passes.
Awesome.
Next item is G7, request for approval of contract binding between Weber County and B&B All-Star Band to perform at the 2020 German Hof. Mr. Olson, Duncan.
Yeah, so the next four actually are all the German Hofest. It's that time of year again. We're really excited. The B&B All-Stars were with us last year. They were really excited to come back. They play the normal polka style German music, and they really were excited to come back. So we've got a contract with them to bring them back for, I want to say it's $2,000, $3,000, excuse me.
Very good. Questions, commissioners? No. Barb?
No questions.
Comment or a motion?
Motion to approve contract Weber County and B&B All-Stars for the Hof German Fest.
All in favor, say aye.
Second.
Oh, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, Commissioner Ford. I get ahead of myself a little there. Okay, item 8 is approval of a contract between Weber County and Salzburg Echo Band for the German Fest. Same thing?
Yep, Salzburger Echo's one of our favorites. We didn't have them last year. They're actually the group that come with the Alpenhorns. They've put on a great show multiple times, and we're excited to have them back.
Very good.
You ready for a motion, Mr. Chair?
I am.
I would move to approve the contract by and between Weber County and the Salzburger Echo Band to perform at the 2020 Hof German Fest.
Second.
Very good. Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Item 9 is a request for approval of contract between Weber County and the Resolution AV for services rendered at the Hof German Fest 2020.
This contract is just for the sound and the lights. They come in, they provide us with a professional that can monitor and do the backline for all the bands. So pretty cut and dry with that one.
Questions?
Yes, just a great sound company. You know, we need a sound company out there that oftentimes can take the sound for the power from bands from Europe. They do things digitally, so their soundboard, which usually sits behind stage, is transferred to an iPad, and they walk around and balance the sound for that big shell of a building. So it's really good. I make the motion that we approve this contract by between Weber County and Resolution AV for their services at the 2020 Hof German Fest.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Item 10 is request for a contract between Weber County and their Gruber Family Band to perform at the Hof German Fest for 2020.
Yeah,
Duncan?
These guys are one of my favorites. They're the ones that we usually have when the school district kids come. They're real interactive. They do a great job entertaining and kind of teaching the kids a little bit more about the music. So we're really excited about this. As with all the German Fest coming up, it's January 17th and 18th. Make sure that you bring your families, come out. I really want to publicly thank our event manager, Kelsey Bouchel. She's put a lot of time and effort, and she's doing a lot of different things to help kind of elevate where we've been, and has worked really hard with these contracts. And so the Gruber family is the last of our entertainment.
Very good. Questions? Motions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for the Hof German Fest with the Gruber Family Band.
Second.
Very good. Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Very good. It's passed. Item 11, request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Weber State University Campus Recreation for the Weber State Rodeo Team to provide community service for the Golden Spike Event Center for hourly practice time. Duncan?
So this one is one of my favorites. We love to support our local teams, Weber State, the Spikers. With this particular contract, they come in after our Icebreaker Rodeo, which is one of the largest high school rodeos in the area, and they come and help clean out the stalls. And in trade, we trade them practice time in the riding arena on the fairgrounds.
All right. I'm not opposed. Are either of you?
Now I'd move to approve the contract between Weber County and Weber State University for Weber State Rodeo Team to provide community service for the Golden Spike Event Center for hourly practice times.
Second.
Very good. Have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Duncan. We appreciate you going through all that. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. So with that, I'd like to have one of you make a motion to adjourn this meeting and go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we're now in a public hearing. And the purpose of that public hearing is to address the tail end of the 2019 calendar year fiscally. So Mr. Scott Park, we'll turn the time over to you to explain this.
Thank you, Commissioners. In your packets and on the agenda that was published for everyone to see, there was a link to a couple of final adjustments we want to make to the 2019 budget. These are some housekeeping and cleanup items just to make sure that everything is good as we finish out the year. On that, there's a summary page, and I'll just hit a couple of the highlights. We're budgeting just under $620,000 to purchase some new equipment. Now, a lot of this is being reallocated from previous projects. So, for example, we have $103,000 that we are moving from the RV park to the Bill Bailey Boulevard to do some lights. So it's money that we had set aside for one project. We're just shifting it to another. We have $95,000 for ballot machines. Most of that will be reimbursed next year through the state. We have some money for a grader, some money for a man lift, and some money for a Zamboni that we took from our fleet fund from savings to purchase some of those pieces of equipment this year. We also had some various other expenditures. We had some contracted services for our building inspections for about $50,000. We get revenue for those, but we just need authorization to spend that money. And some additional increases for our pathways, for our sewer and weeds, and some transfers from our fund balance for the Weber Morgan Health Department to help them finish a carpet project. We also had some additional roadway projects, some of which we were able to bill out. And finally, we had about $577,000 worth of new grants that came in. So we received the money, and we just wanted to spend the money that we received for those grant purposes.
Okay, the question I have, I remember all this as we've gone through it over the while, but new equipment grader, I don't have a recollection of that.
So that's the grader from the roads department. We bought that, when was that?
Yeah, this is what we bought some time ago. So this is a lease fee for it.
Yes, so we bought it with the fleet fund, but now the roads department actually has to pay for the payments. So we're basically leasing it from one department of the county to another, and that's what this is.
It just didn't seem like enough, so I was wondering if it was a second grader.
No,
but
it's just lease payment,
this was lease fee.
Yeah.
All right, I'm okay with that. Questions, commissioners?
You know, the key words I heard you say today, Scott, is we took that money from savings. We're not borrowing that money, but we took it from savings, which is great. We're in a good financial position. Thanks so much for your efforts and your team for helping us get there and helping us inform us to make good decisions.
Yeah, when we were able to fund these internally, it saves us a lot of money in interest expense that we would pay over the life of the purchase. So it makes a lot of sense to fund these things internally and save that money internally.
So Scott, explain to me that Center of Excellence grant.
So the Center of Excellence was created under so it sits under the Health Department administratively, but it's kind of a separate organization. And
Right.
This is the grant. So the county chipped in some money out of our RDA funds to help fund certain positions. And then we also received some contributions from the WEBER Human Services and the WEBER Morgan Health Department to fund that Center of Excellence.
So that's $20,000 a month. Well, $359,000, that's a lot more than that. What is this going for?
I can get the detail of the specifics. I didn't bring the detail with me, but we do have some grants that come from Workforce Services, the Intergenerational Poverty, the ICANN.
This is a
and
collection of all the grants.
Yeah, this is a collection of the grants and the county's contribution and the contributions from the various other agencies
All right.
that make this up.
I'm okay with that, but just so we're clear, would you get us a breakdown of that? So
Yeah, I will.
We're all aware of that. I thought I was aware of that, and most of it I am, but I'm not sure I am all of it, and I want to make sure I'm aware of all of it.
Be good to see the breakdown.
Yeah, you've seen and signed off on all of them, but they have been separated out, so you haven't seen a full $300,000 one. They've been, 3 or 4 separate pages, but I will bring them to you and send them to you so you can see the detail that makes up that amount.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Commissioners, any other questions?
A question go back to other expenditures.
Okay.
Under the Weber County 3 building inspection, can you inform me what that was?
So we were behind in our building inspections. We had some turnover, and so what we had to do was contract with an outside entity to perform those building inspection services for us. Now, when they provide those services, we're able to bill whoever's, like the homeowner who's getting the inspection for that, but we didn't have any money in our contracted services to hire a contractor, if that makes sense. So we get additional revenue to help offset these additional expenses.
So these were for outside building inspections?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that didn't have to do with inspections on this building.
No, this is us contracting out because our building inspectors weren't able to get to them as fast.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. We appreciate that explanation. All right. This public hearing is now open to members of the public to get up and comment. Chad, you want to say something? You look like you did.
He's on item 3.
Oh, okay.
He's next up.
So for our budget hearing, anybody who'd like to comment on that? See none. So we'll go to the next item. Next item is to provide opportunity of representatives from nonprofit organizations as well as others to discuss potential projects. Mr. Chad Meyerhofer, go ahead.
Thanks, Commissioners. This public hearing is part of the process for applying for Community Development Block Grant Program funds. So if you can bear with me, there are certain topics that have to be covered in here, so I've got to go through and read through this, and we'll get our way through it.
You bet. Go ahead.
This hearing is being called to consider potential projects for which funding may be applied for under the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Program. The national objectives for this is for grant money to primarily be spent to benefit low to moderate income persons, but other national objectives include using funds to aid in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight, and may also be used to meet urgent needs because existing conditions pose a serious and immediate threat to health and welfare. The grant money must be spent on projects benefiting primarily low and moderate income persons. The West Front Regional Council, in which Weber County is a member, is expecting to receive approximately $870,000 in this new program year. All eligible activities that can be accomplished under this program are identified in the CDB&G Application Policies and Procedures Manual, and interested persons can review it at any time. Several of the eligible activities listed including examples such as construction of public works and facilities, example water and sewer lines, fire stations, acquisition of real property, provisions of public services such as food banks or homeless shelters. Also eligible are loan programs for private businesses which would then hire low-income persons and homeowners. The unincorporated county does not currently have any active grant projects, but in the past, Weber County as a whole has sponsored the Weber Housing Authority in a project that offers incentives for first-time home buyers. In the past, Weber County has received grants for modifications of restrooms for the Weber County Library to bring them more in compliance with ADA standards, and emergency housing rehabilitation projects that was administered through the Weber Housing Authority, developing ADA-compliant campsites, installing ADA-compliant door hardware at the fairgrounds, installing storm drains in low to moderate income communities to reduce flooding, installing wheelchair ramps at intersections to make pedestrian sidewalk more accessible, as well as sponsoring nonprofit agencies such as Your Community Connection, Ogden Weber Community Action Agency, and Catholic Community Services, and others. The county has handed out its capital investment plan as part of a regional consolidated plan. This list shows which projects the county has identified as being needed in the community. It was asked that anyone with, or it's asked that anyone with questions or comments or suggestions during this hearing, please identify themselves by name before they speak. The clerk will then include the names into the minutes, and we'd like to specifically respond to any questions or suggestions during this hearing if possible. At the How to Apply meeting, I was not contacted by any nonprofit agencies there. However, the nonprofit agencies have the chance of having the county sponsor them to make application. However, Andy with the Weber Housing Authority did have a representative there, and they are looking at a project that they're looking at applying for. So I'm going to turn the time over to her to give you a brief idea of what that project is, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Mrs. Andy Beatles, good to have you here today.
Thanks. Good morning.
Morning.
So the Weber Housing Authority has decided to make application for the CDBG funds this year. We haven't received new CDBG funds for a few years, but this year their number 3 priority is to provide decent housing through the use of all available programs. So we're interested in purchasing a single family property and then doing some minimal rehab and then either renting it or selling it to a low-income family.
Commissioners, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
No, I think that's a great program, Andy.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andy. All right, now's time for public comments on this. Is there any public who's come to comment on this today? Please step forward. Now'd be your time. One more call. Okay, appears like nobody's interested in commenting today. So with that, I'd make glad to receive a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion we adjourn our public hearing and reconvene a public meeting.
Second.
Very good. Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. It's time for an action. Does either of you care to make a motion on these?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve Resolution 64 that would amend the 2019 budget as presented by Mr. Park this morning.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. All in favor? Fatima.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. So Fatima, that did not include H3, right?
Right.
Okay, we'll now take a motion on H3.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we take action on the projects presented by Mr. Meyerhofer.
Second.
Very good. I have motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye? Or is that a roll call, Fatima? Okay,
Aye.
sorry. Aye. Thank you. I didn't
An aye
understand
for
that.
me.
It says...
Very good. Yeah. Very good. That brings us to the point in our commission for commissioner comments. Do either of you have a comment today?
I think I said mine at the first, so I'm fine.
I got to chime in there too, so it's up to you now.
I'm fine too. Well, with that, I'd looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you for coming today, folks.